How do you handle moderation and conflict when running an online community? My name is Jacob. I work in community management at a large tech company, and this is part 8 of a series that I'm doing where I'm sharing more about what it's like to work in community management as a community manager. So this topic and conversation really starts at the beginning of a member's experience in your community. So in the onboarding phase of community management, it's important to educate your new members on where they are, what the space is for, and the guidelines. The guidelines should be written and accessible for everyone in your community. Now, what those guidelines do is it holds everyone in the space, the admins, the moderators, the everyday members, it holds everyone accountable. So if someone goes against the community guidelines, you have this documentation that you can fall back on and reference. What you're doing ultimately is you're defining acceptable behavior of that space. The other thing to think about is to be consistent and fair in your enforcement of those guidelines. Guidelines hold everyone accountable, moderators and admins included. So when someone breaks one of the rules or goes against the guidelines, it's important to call it out right then and there, whether it's in the public space or in a direct message, depending on the severity and sensitivity of what has happened. Another strategy to take here is to be actively monitoring and actively participating in the community, yourself as the admin. Because when your community knows that the admins or even the team of moderators you have, when your community knows that they're present and visible and approachable, they know that the community's health is going to be the best it can be because content's going to be flagged if it needs to. People are going to get followed up with if guidelines are broken. So making sure you have that moderator presence or admin presence in the community consistently every single day is what will help build that sense of community within your community, but also trust, accountability, and fairness. It's also important to know that communities evolve, so it's totally okay to, and actually it should happen, where you're revisiting your community guidelines over time. Running an online community, you're naturally going to have feedback from your members, and some of that could be about the guidelines, whether it's to edit a guideline that's pre-existing or to add more, based on the activity that's happening over time. And so once those guidelines have been edited, it's very important to communicate the changes. Even though they're guidelines that someone may see during onboarding and might reference here and there as they build their familiarity with the community space, it's so important to communicate when changes are made to a set of community guidelines so that everyone continues to be held accountable. The last thing I'll say is, think about scale with your online community and how you can help distribute that moderation control. So maybe you're building a moderation program for your top contributors or folks that want to apply to be a moderator. That can support with that peer-to-peer piece. So there's more eyes and ears in the community watching the activity.